Have you ever wondered why Allah, in His infinite wisdom, chose to conceal the resting place of Prophet Musa, a.s.? This is no ordinary mystery. It is a divine decision that carries profound spiritual significance. The disappearance of Musa's a.s. grave is not just a historical question. It is a test, a safeguard, and a warning for all of humanity. Throughout history, mankind has had a dangerous tendency to glorify physical places and objects rather than focusing on the true essence of faith. How many times have people turned graves into shrines? How often have individuals sought blessings from the resting places of the righteous rather than from Allah Himself? This inclination leads to the greatest sin in Islam, shirk, associating partners with Allah. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ warned against this very practice, saying, "Do not make my grave a place of worship." Sunan Abu Dawud 2042. If even the grave of the final messenger was to be protected from such practices, then imagine the risk posed by the grave of Musa, a.s., a prophet whose miracles shook the foundations of history. Had it been known, it could have become an object of misplaced devotion, leading people away from the essence of Islamic philosophy, the absolute oneness of Allah. But the concealment of his grave is more than just a precaution against idolatry. It is a test for mankind. Allah wants us to focus on the message, not the physical remains of his prophets. Time and again, the Quranic Mysteries remind us that true faith is not about relics, but about obedience to divine guidance. Musa, a.s., was not meant to be venerated in death. His life was meant to be followed. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ reinforced this lesson, emphasizing that the greatest legacy of a prophet is his teachings, not his tomb. Moreover, the hidden nature of Musa's grave serves as a divine protection, not just from idol worship but from evil intentions. History has shown us how powerful rulers and corrupt leaders have misused the graves of righteous men to manipulate the masses. In some cases, tombs have been transformed into sites of political control, exploited to establish false narratives or to assert authority. By keeping Musa's a.s. grave unknown, Allah ensured that it could never be used as a tool for deception or control. So why is Satan still searching for it? The answer is unsettling. If he were to succeed, it would provide him the ultimate opportunity to mislead. He knows that humans are easily distracted, drawn to the physical rather than the spiritual. A single discovery, if misused, could shift focus from worshipping Allah to glorifying a mere location. And that, as we will see next, is precisely what he aims to achieve. Before we dive deeper into this revelation, take a moment to subscribe to the Veil of the Unseen. Many of you watch our videos but aren't subscribed. By subscribing, you ensure you never miss these hidden truths, Islamic mysticism, and prophecies and signs that reshape how we understand Islam. Let's continue this journey together, the greatness of Prophet Musa, PBUH. To truly understand why Satan is searching for the grave of Prophet Musa, a.s., we must first grasp the immense significance of this prophet in Islamic mysticism and Quranic mysteries. Prophet Musa, a.s., is one of the most frequently mentioned figures in the Quran. His name appears more than 130 times. His story is a testament to divine intervention, unwavering faith, and the eternal struggle between truth and falsehood. From the moment of his birth, Musa, a.s., was a living miracle. Born during the reign of Pharaoh, when male infants of the Israelites were being mercilessly slaughtered, Allah's divine plan was already in motion. His mother, inspired by divine revelation, placed him in a basket and set him afloat on the Nile. That very basket drifted into the palace of Pharaoh himself, where Musa, a.s., was raised as a prince, under the very roof of the tyrant who sought to exterminate his people. No sign even then that Allah's wisdom always prevails over the schemes of oppressors. As he grew, Musa, a.s., became not just a man of strength and character, but a prophet chosen by Allah. His life was filled with undeniable miracles. He spoke directly to Allah on Mount Sinai, an honor that sets him apart from most prophets. He was gifted with powerful signs, his staff which turned into a serpent, his radiant hand, and the ability to part the Red Sea, allowing his people to escape Pharaoh's tyranny. Each of these miracles was a direct message from Allah, a reminder of His supremacy over all things. Yet despite his closeness to Allah, Prophet Musa, a.s. faced immense trials. His mission was not easy. He stood alone against the might of Pharaoh, confronting a ruler who claimed divinity. He led an entire nation out of oppression, endured the hardships of the desert, and guided his people towards the worship of Allah alone. But even with all these miracles, many among his followers wavered in faith, proving that signs alone are not enough. One must have true conviction in the unseen. This is precisely why his grave remains hidden. The legacy of Musa, A.S., was never about his physical presence, but about his message. Allah ensured that his final resting place would never become a shrine or an object of veneration. His true legacy is found in the Quran, in his unwavering submission to Allah, and in the spiritual awakening he brought to his people. And yet Satan, knowing the weaknesses of mankind, has been searching for this grave, hoping to corrupt its significance and lead people astray. So why does the concealment of Musa's grave hold such divine wisdom? What dangers would arise if it were ever found? As we explore these hidden truths and prophecies and signs, we will uncover how Allah's protection extends beyond life and death, shielding not just the Prophet's resting place, but the faith of those who follow the true path. Why was Musa's grave hidden? Have you ever wondered why Allah, in His infinite wisdom, chose to conceal the resting place of Prophet Musa, A.S.? This is no ordinary mystery. It is a divine decision that carries profound spiritual significance. The disappearance of Musa's grave is not just a historical question, it is a test, a safeguard, and a warning for all of humanity. Throughout history, mankind has had a dangerous tendency to glorify physical places and objects rather than focusing on the true essence of faith. How many times have people turned graves into shrines? How often have individuals sought blessings from the resting places of the righteous rather than from Allah Himself? This inclination leads to the greatest sin in Islam, shirk, associating partners with Allah. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ warned against this very practice, saying, "Do not make my grave a place of worship." Sunan Abu Dawud 2042. If even the grave of the final messenger was to be protected from such practices, then imagine the risk posed by the grave of Musa A.S., a prophet whose miracles shook the foundations of history. Had it been known, it could have become an object of misplaced devotion, leading people away from the essence of Islamic philosophy, the absolute oneness of Allah. But the concealment of his grave is more than just a precaution against idolatry. It is a test for mankind. Allah wants us to focus on the message, not the physical remains of his prophets. Time and again, the Quran reminds us that true faith is not about relics, but about obedience to divine guidance. Musa A.S. was not meant to be venerated in death. His life was meant to be followed. The Prophet ﷺ reinforced this lesson, emphasizing that the greatest legacy of a prophet is his teachings, not his tomb. Moreover, the hidden nature of Musa's A.S. grave serves as a divine protection, not just from idol worship, but from evil intentions. History has shown us how powerful rulers and corrupt leaders have misused the graves of righteous men to manipulate the masses. In some cases, tombs have been transformed into sites of political control, exploited to establish false narratives or to assert authority. By keeping Musa's A.S. grave unknown, Allah ensured that it could never be used as a tool for deception or control. So, why is Satan still searching for it? The answer is unsettling. If he were to succeed, it would provide him the ultimate opportunity to mislead. He knows that humans are easily distracted, drawn to the physical rather than the spiritual. A single discovery, if misused, could shift focus from worshipping Allah to glorifying a mere location. And that, as we will see next, is precisely what he aims to achieve. Why is Satan searching for the grave? Now, this is where things take a darker turn. Why is Satan, the eternal deceiver, the sworn enemy of mankind, so determined to find the grave of Prophet Musa, A.S.? What possible gain could he achieve from it? The answer is both chilling and deeply insightful. It all comes down to one thing: diverting humanity from the true path. Since the beginning of time, Satan's ultimate goal has been to lead people into shirk. He failed to stop Musa, AS, from delivering Allah's message. He failed to prevent the victory of Tawheed, pure monotheism, and he failed to destroy the divine guidance Musa, AS, left behind. But what if he could do something even more dangerous? What if he could take a righteous prophet's legacy and twist it into a means of corruption? This is why he searches for the grave, because if he can turn it into a shrine, an object of worship, he can accomplish what he failed to do in Musa's lifetime. History has proven this time and time again. Look at the ancient nations that turned the graves of saints into places of worship. They believed they were honoring the righteous, but in reality, they were falling into the exact trap Satan had set. Even today, how many people travel great distances to seek blessings from tombs instead of turning directly to Allah? How many are deceived into thinking that barakah, divine blessings, comes from the soil of a grave rather than from sincere dua and worship? If Musa's grave were known, imagine how quickly it would become a place of exaggerated reverence, perhaps even a site of rituals that have no place in Islam. But there's more to it than just shirk. Satan is also the master of confusion and doubt. If the grave were found, could you imagine the division it would cause? People would argue over its authenticity, over which sect or nation has the right to claim it, over who should control it. It would spark endless debates, distracting believers from the true essence of Islamic mysticism, spiritual awakening, self-purification, and direct connection with Allah. And perhaps most dangerously, Satan understands that humans are naturally drawn to the mysterious, the unseen. If he can shift our focus from living the message of Musa, AS, to obsessing over his physical resting place, he can keep people trapped in rituals and superstitions instead of action and transformation. The Quran warns us against this distraction, and do not be like those who forgot Allah, so he made them forget themselves. Those are the defiantly disobedient. Surah Al-Hashr 59:19. Satan doesn't need people to outright reject Islam. All he needs is to subtly shift their attention, to make them prioritize culture over creed, superstition over sincerity, emotion over evidence. And what better way to do that than by introducing a relic, a grave, a symbol that people can hold on to, even at the cost of forgetting the true purpose of faith. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has ensured that this deception never succeeds. By concealing Musa's grave, he has denied Satan the ability to use it as a tool for misguidance. Yet, the danger of falling for similar tricks still remains. And that is why, as believers, we must be vigilant, aware of how easily misplaced devotion can lead us astray. So how do we protect ourselves from these deceptions? How do we ensure that our faith remains pure, untainted, and firmly rooted in the message of Islam? That is exactly what we will uncover next. How to protect ourselves from Satan's deception. Now that we understand why Satan is so determined to uncover the grave of Prophet Musa, AS, the real question remains: how do we protect ourselves from falling into his traps? How do we ensure that we remain on the path of truth, free from the distractions and deceptions that he constantly places before us? The first and most crucial step is to focus on the message, not the place. Too often, people attach significance to objects, locations, or historical sites, believing that being physically close to something sacred will automatically bring them closer to Allah. But the Quran reminds us otherwise. Muhammad is no more than a messenger. Many messengers have passed before him. If he dies or is killed, will you then turn back on your heels? Surah Al-Imran 3:144. This verse teaches a profound lesson. It is not the presence of a prophet, a grave, or a location that sustains faith. It is the teachings they left behind. Musa, AS, is not defined by where he was buried, but by his unwavering devotion to Allah, his commitment to truth, and his guidance to the Bani Israel. If we focus on his legacy, rather than the mystery of his burial site, we shield ourselves from one of Satan's greatest deceptions. Another essential protection is never worshipping graves or seeking blessings from them. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made it clear: "May Allah curse the Jews and the Christians, for they took the graves of their prophets as places of worship. Sahih al-Bukhari, 1330. This is a serious warning. The moment we turn a grave into a spiritual focal point, we risk falling into shirk. Allah alone is the source of guidance, healing, and barakah. No soil, no structure, no tomb can replace that. But recognizing Satan's deception is not enough. We must also be aware of his tricks. He is subtle, patient, and strategic. He doesn't always lead people into sin directly. Sometimes he distracts them with seemingly harmless traditions, cultural practices, and emotional attachments. Have you ever noticed how some people are more obsessed with visiting sacred sites than with actually praying, fasting, or seeking knowledge? Have you seen how certain traditions, once based on pure intentions, slowly evolve into rituals that contradict Islamic teachings? That is the work of Satan. So how do we fight back? Through knowledge. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "When Allah wishes good for someone, He grants him understanding of the religion." Sahih al-Bukhari 71. Authentic knowledge is the shield that protects our faith. By studying the Quran, the Hadith, and the wisdom of Islamic philosophy, we can see through the illusions that Satan places before us. This is why Islamic mysticism, spiritual awakening, and Quranic mysteries are so crucial. Not as superstitions, but as deep understandings of the unseen realities that shape our spiritual journey. Finally, dua is our greatest weapon. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to seek Allah's protection from all forms of misguidance. One of the most powerful prayers for this is, "O Allah, show me the truth as truth, and grant me the ability to follow it, and show me falsehood as falsehood, and grant me the ability to abstain from it." Because at the end of the day, Satan can only mislead those who allow themselves to be misled. If we stay vigilant, if we constantly seek truth, if we hold firmly to the rope of Allah, no deception, no matter how cleverly disguised, can pull us away from the straight path. But the mystery is not over yet. There's still one unanswered question. Where exactly is the grave of Prophet Musa, AS? The answer may surprise you. Where is Musa's PBUH grave? Despite centuries of speculation, no one knows the exact location of Prophet Musa's AS grave. Unlike other prophets whose burial sites are well documented, his resting place remains an unsolved mystery, one that has baffled scholars, historians, and even those who seek to exploit religious sites for personal gain. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ provided us with one of the only authentic clues regarding Musa's burial. When the angel of death came to Musa, he struck him and knocked out his eye. The angel returned to Allah, saying, "You have sent me to a servant who does not want to die." Allah ordered the angel to return and tell Musa, AS, to place his hand on the back of an ox, and for every hair under his hand, he would be granted another year of life. Musa, AS, asked, "Then what?" The angel responded, "Then death." Musa, AS, said, "Let it be now." And he asked Allah to let him die close to the sacred land. And he was buried near the red sandhill, but no one knows exactly where. Sahih Muslim 2372. This hadith offers two key insights. Musa, AS, was buried near the sacred land, likely referring to Jerusalem or its surrounding areas. Allah concealed his grave, ensuring that no one could locate it. This raises a profound question. Why did Allah intentionally keep this knowledge hidden? After all, the graves of other prophets, such as Ibrahim, AS, and Muhammad, ﷺ, are well known. What makes Musa's AS burial different? Some scholars speculate that if his grave were found, it would become a shrine, leading people into the very practices that Musa, AS, himself condemned: idol worship, superstition, and seeking blessings from physical locations. We've already seen how graves of saints and prophets have been turned into sites of pilgrimage, often overshadowing the actual teachings of these great men. But here's where things take a more mysterious turn. Throughout history, there have been numerous claims and theories about the location of Musa's grave. Some believe it is near Mount Nebo in Jordan, a site associated with Musa's final moments. Others suggest that it is somewhere in the Sinai Peninsula, while a few theories place it near the West Bank. However, none of these claims are backed by authentic Islamic sources, and so the mystery remains, a grave that Satan desperately wants to find, but one that Allah has concealed from mankind. But why does this secrecy matter so much? Why did Allah choose to hide the resting place of one of his most powerful messengers? The answer lies not in where Musa, AS, was buried, but in what we are meant to learn from his story. And that is the final, most crucial lesson. When we reflect on the life and legacy of Prophet Musa, AS, we see that his story is not just about miracles or confrontations with Pharaoh, it's about pure monotheism, unwavering faith, and obedience to Allah's commands. Even in his death, Allah protected him, ensuring that his grave would never be used as a tool for misguidance. This alone should make us pause and reflect. If a prophet as great as Musa, AS, had his grave concealed for a divine reason, what does that teach us about our own faith? One of the most powerful takeaways from this mystery is that Allah alone deserves our worship. Time and time again, history has shown us how graves, shrines, and relics have been misused, leading people away from the essence of faith. Instead of following the teachings of the prophets, many fall into the trap of glorifying places, objects, or even individuals. But true faith is not about where someone is buried. It's about the message they carried. The Quran reminds us, "And we certainly sent into every nation a messenger, saying, 'Worship Allah and avoid tagut,' false deities." Surah An-Nahl 16-36. Another lesson from this mystery is that Allah's wisdom surpasses human understanding. Many people search for physical proofs of faith, graves, relics, artifacts, as if these will strengthen their belief. But true faith does not come from what we see, it comes from what we believe. Musa, AS, was a prophet who stood before Allah, yet his followers still struggled with faith. This teaches us that miracles alone do not create faith, only sincere submission to Allah does. And let's not forget the role of Satan in all of this. His obsession with Musa's AS grave is part of a greater agenda, one designed to mislead humanity. He knows that if people focus on places rather than principles, rituals rather than righteousness, relics rather than revelation, they will be easier to deceive. This is why Satan never stops working to distort Islam, planting doubts, innovations, and falsehoods to keep people away from pure monotheism. So what is our responsibility? To stay vigilant, to seek knowledge, to protect our faith from corruption. We must remember that the true legacy of any prophet is not in his resting place, but in his message. Musa, AS, was a warrior of truth, a man who defied tyranny, and a prophet who upheld Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, until his last breath. If we want to honor him, we must follow his path, not search for his grave. And now the question remains, will we take this lesson to heart, or will we fall into the same traps that past generations did? The mystery of Prophet Musa's AS hidden grave is more than just a historical enigma. It's a divine lesson. Allah, in his infinite wisdom, concealed it not to deprive us, but to protect our faith from being misdirected. Satan, on the other hand, is still searching for it, knowing that if he could manipulate mankind into idolizing a mere location, he would succeed in diverting them from the true essence of Islam, the absolute oneness of Allah. But now the real question is, what do you think? If the grave of Musa AS were to be discovered today, how do you believe people would react? Would it strengthen their faith, or would it become another shrine of misplaced devotion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help others see this in a new light. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Veil of the Unseen. We uncover hidden truths, Quranic mysteries, and mysterious events explained through Islam. Don't miss out on our future content. Hit the notification bell so you're always the first to know when a new revelation drops. Now, before you leave, there's another crucial video waiting for you, one that will deepen your understanding of divine mysteries. Click the video on your screen now and continue this journey of enlightenment. May Allah guide us all to the truth. Assalamu alaikum.